Hello and welcome to the Poetry Exchange. I'm Michael Schaefer.
And I'm Fiona Bennett. Lovely to see you, Michael.
And you too, Fee. I'm going to say it. Merry Christmas, Fiona.
Oh, thank you so much. And a Merry Christmas to you too, Michael.
We'll be meeting for a mulled wine very soon, no doubt.
We will. We'll manage to get that down us before we stop for a bit. I mean, that's one of the very useful things about this juncture, shall we say, is that hopefully things do stop for a little bit so we can have a bit of quiet time.
Yeah.
And I do think before we head into this lovely episode that we've got to share with everyone, we should just take a moment to say how sad and deeply shocking and utterly grief-shaking it was to receive the news of Benjamin Zephaniah's passing. It's a huge, huge loss. It's a figure of immense stature in all ways, and the legacy is just massive, you know, the impact of him and his work. And a figure for me, Michael, who I just always thought would be there. So, you know, there's something about his presence and that sort of position of leader figure for the art form and everything radical and revolutionary that he did with it, and also everything just brilliant that he did with it.
Yeah, I never had the pleasure of meeting him, but I always had a sense that he was a man of his word, that he lived his word, you know, both through his poetry and his activism, which of course were completely intertwined. But it's a really, really sad loss.
It is indeed. And we will be doing something either on the next episode or as a special moment through the podcast to acknowledge and honour Benjamin Zephaniah's work. So stay close and we'll let you know what that is and when that's coming. We just want to take our time to think about that and to extend at this point all our thoughts and wishes to those who were close and knew him well, his friends and his family. So gathering in community was something that we do like to do and will be doing with joy and celebration in February with our third iteration, I think it is, of In the Company of Poems, our reading night on February the 21st. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a really great event. People have responded so positively to the two that we've done previously, as well as people who, you know, friends of mine that kind of joined that are not necessarily people that would go home after a long day's work and pick up a volume of poetry, but who absolutely loved it. So it's brilliant that we're going to get to do it again. If you've not attended one before, it's an online event. The lineup is yet to be announced. We'll keep you updated with that. We do know that I'll be there and you'll be there, Fiona, and our dear friend Roy McFarlane is going to be there as well. And then we will flesh that out with the most extraordinary array of readers of poems, and it'll be a really beautiful night. There is a link, I believe, Fiona, on our website that will take you to an Eventbrite page and you can book your tickets there.
And it is, for us, a fundraising event.
Yeah.
There are a few things that are, what can I say? The budget line is looking as slender as my Christmas tree, which has lost all its needles.
Yeah, and it helps us to keep making the work that we do. And so your support is really, really appreciated and of great use to us. Now, Fiona, I feel we should kick on into the episode. This is a rerun. What do we call it? We don't call it a rerun.
Revisit.
A reboot. A revisit. Yes. Of an episode that we released back in 2018. Gosh, over 5 years ago. With Andrew Scott, the most extraordinary actor who I've had the pleasure of working with and enjoying on stage and on television. And he was kind enough to share the poem that's been a friend to him. And if you've not heard this one before, you're in for a treat.
And if you have, it's so worth a revisit. So you'll be hearing myself and Michael talking about Love by George Herbert. the poem that's been a friend to Andrew.
It might be a nice way to start if you fancy just reading out loud for us the poem that you brought along.
Yeah. Love bade me welcome, yet my soul drew back, guilty of dust and sin. But quick-eyed love, observing me grow slack from my first entrance in, drew nearer to me, sweetly questioning if I lacked anything. A guest, I answered, worthy to be here. Love said, you shall be he. I, the unkind, ungrateful, ah, my dear, I cannot look on thee. Love took my hand and smiling did reply, who made the eyes but I? Truth, Lord, but I have marred them. Let my shame go where it doth deserve. And know you not, says love, who bore the blame? My dear, then I will serve. You must sit down, says love, and taste my meat. So I did sit and eat.
Where did you come across this?
It's actually quite new to me. I was thinking about poems, and I've always loved poetry, actually. I've had a relationship with poetry since I was a kid. We used to do these kind of poetry competitions, I suppose you call them.
Like reciting?
A little bit like recitals, yeah, and sort of.
Lovely.
And you do Seamus Heaney or Paul Durkin or W.B. Yeats or a lot of the Irish poems. Because of course in those that's where I would have learnt about what acting is. So if you're sitting there and your peer who's 8, and you go, oh my God, he's done that so brilliantly. I understand that. I didn't understand that about the poem. But it forces you that only your way is going to be right for you. Yeah. So even if some kid says the poem in a completely different way, you have to try and do it your own way. But this poem has been a friend to me because I associate it a lot with Catholicism a little bit, which is something that I feel I've escaped from. We grew up in Dublin and it was very Catholic kind of upbringing, and I think since my Catholicism lapsed, in my adulthood, I think a lot of people of our generation have looked for something to replace it, and it's why I think spirituality and mindfulness and all that stuff that everybody really looks for now. And so the idea of love in its really simplest form, the poem is called Love, and really appeals to me that actually you resist it and you resist it and you resist it and you resist it because you think, because there's guilt and shame are mentioned a lot, which are, to my mind, very associated with Catholicism, and something that I really struggled with about, not so much anymore, but certainly in my youth, about shame and guilt and all that kind of stuff. And that you actually, that the attempt with all religions, I suppose, is to get somebody to sit down and love themselves in some way. And the idea that you're undeserving of that is a resistance that I think we all feel, and to my mind, that's wrapped up a little bit in feeling ashamed of myself or feeling that I wasn't deserving of love. So I think it's beautiful when it's at the end when he says, so I just sat and so I did sit and eat. It's very poignant to me. It's wrapped up so much in that idea of loving yourself, and because I do feel that that's something that is the key to our happiness, because you can't give it out if you don't have it for yourself.
It's just struck me as funny that you've brought one where there is a conversation. The poem itself is a conversation.
Quite, yeah.
So
yeah, and there is. It's kind of dramatic in the sense there's dialogue in it. But this one, I don't know, something like, I think with all art, I don't know, weirdly last year doing Hamlet, the word that I said in the wings every night before I went on was love. It's weird. I mean, I genuinely didn't say that to sound like, you know, wanky about it, just go. But that to me is what, like, all art is. It's somewhere in there. Somebody said to me that our art is, the purpose of any art is to teach us how to live a better life. And to live a better life, you've got to love in some way, and something just being really simple. Because Hamlet, for example, is a play about revenge and grief and murder, and it can be, you know, there's war in there. But I think it's a play about people who are struggling to love each other, or struggling to hate people that they actually love, and just to say that word, that I love those people, because there's a pressure, I think, in this current age for us to not love people, to have a stance, because we're so angry that the world is separating so much. But it's to try and understand. And I think the reason why I think that's so beautiful here is that love, when he says, love bade me welcome, it's the first thing. It's not like there was any struggle, you know. He says, welcome. And he sweetly questioned if I lacked anything. What a brilliant thing to say. If I imagine someone saying to you, do you lack anything? I think we could all answer that really directly, you know. If someone asks you a simple question, it's much easier to give you a simple answer.
It sounds to me as if you've been able to sort of reject Catholicism because you've somehow just really clarified something for yourself which has taken its place.
Yeah.
And for me, I think, religion has served a purpose.
Yeah.
You know, and it's about coming together of people in a community and singing together.
Yeah, absolutely.
And stories of what it is to lead a good life.
Yeah, exactly.
Serves a lot of really useful things, and actually we're all trying to find our way to get back to some of those things for ourselves.
Exactly, that's exactly it. That the idea of community, you know, that idea of trying our best, and but I suppose it's just that there were things, you know, I suppose in relation to sexuality or just morality that I felt I just disagree with. So there is a religious aspect. He says, truth, Lord.
Yes, I thought that. It's almost like God is love. Love is God. You know, and of course that's got a whole bunch of religious connotations, that idea of God is love. But it, in the way that you're talking about it, kind of love is your God almost.
Yeah, exactly. That is what I feel, and I do feel that.
It's so lovely, in this poem, the personification of love in these little individual acts, like you were saying right at the beginning, that but quick-eyed love, observing me grow slack from my first, it drew nearer and quickly, you know, it sort of caught me, could see that I couldn't come in. And so actually that idea of physical presence is very strong in this poem.
And quick-eyed.
This is what we can, lovely.
What a gorgeous thing, love, somebody who's quick-eyed.
Quick-eyed love, isn't that great?
Yeah, quick-eyed love. It's so beautiful because of that idea that, you know, if you are loved, you're able in a second to see if somebody is upset or vulnerable or
what somebody needs.
Or what somebody needs. It's quick-eyed because it means that you are really observant. It's so beautiful, and I don't know, it's kind of light in a way that's nice. You know, it's not serious.
Yes, there is that physical thing. Yeah, love took my hand.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just such a deft move, isn't it? To kind of just go, the poem's called Love, and love is a person in a room.
Yeah.
You know, and to simultaneously escape any problem of romantic love, or
exactly.
You know, we're not in that room at all,
no.
And we know we're not in that room. It's amazing.
But what's so beautiful about it is that I suppose in a way he could be in that room, you know, like you could go, as what happens so much, I think it can happen in relationships, is that people feel that you resist it. You go that actually, you know, in the sort of Hollywood scenario, we think, oh yeah, I love somebody, therefore I can be with them. But I think what happens a lot of the time is people resist the people that they love because it's too much, or they feel that they're not worthy of that love, or you know, that it'll some way it's going to hurt them because the love isn't within, you know. So I do think that if you don't feel like you're worthy of it, you can't get access to the thing that you actually really, really need, and that's terribly sad. I cannot look on the... Conor McPherson has a beautiful... I think it's in The Weir. I can't remember what the exact line is. And he says, he loved her so much he couldn't look her in the eye. It's so amazing. Oh God, it kind of breaks my heart, that.
Yeah, that says it.
Yeah, I can't even look at the thing that I need and love.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It is. We can be in that room in this poem too. Absolutely, of course.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually not the way I relate to it in a way, but in a way it could.
No, it's great that you're bringing. It's great that we're discovering that about it, because I think you know, like you, it's not my first. Yeah. Because of the tone of it, somewhere is not that, but actually, its significance in that way of loving one another is huge. Yeah, actually.
Yeah, it manages to include the possibility of all of the various kinds of love I think you can think about without specifically pointing to any of them.
Yeah.
Which is kind of amazing.
It is.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about truth, Lord, but I have marred them. Let my shame go where it doth deserve. And know you not, says love, who bore the blame? My dear, then I will serve. That's the one bit I go, oh, I'm not quite sure what's happening there.
So I'm okay. I have marred them. I've marred my eyes. I'm okay there. And then let my shame go where it doth deserve, which is not here, even though I'm hungry.
Yes.
And know you not, says love, who bore the blame. Yeah,
it's left, isn't it?
It's left. It's
totally
sort of
the one moment in the poem where you go, ah.
Yeah. Yeah, because that doesn't seem like my dear then I will serve seem like an answer to that question.
No. The fact that there is that sort of break in the line.
Yes.
It seems to indicate that there's just some space where that question is left hanging.
Yeah, exactly. It's quite theatrical in a way, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
How do you see that, Fee?
I mean, there's a question about who is saying, my dear, then I will serve.
Yeah, that's true.
Potentially.
Oh, gosh.
My dear, then I will serve. So I took that as love serving.
So did I.
Serving the
moment. He says, I will serve. You must sit down, says love, and taste my meat. So I'm going to serve you.
Yeah.
So it could be.
But it could be.
Whoever what we're calling
the visitor.
The visitor.
Yeah, exactly.
So the visitor could almost be saying, my dear, then I will serve. And love says, you must sit down.
Yes, wow. Yes.
Oh.
The question is an extraordinary question. And know you not who bore the blame. So if I were to say that in a colloquial way, you'd say, well, who's to blame for that? Whose fault is that? And it's wonderful that would be left open.
Because in a way, I suppose then that's suggesting that by there not being a direct response to this question of whose fault is it, it's kind of almost suggesting to me that it's just not a relevant question.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely.
There's nothing helpful down that route.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is, as you say, it's an irrelevant. So okay, so let's say the answer. Let's say the answer to that was, it is, my ex's fault or my granddad's fault. What are you going to do with that?
Where does it get you?
Yeah.
How does it move you forward?
Yeah. It's very interesting that he says, "And know you not," says love, "who bore the blame." That he says that rather than, "And know you not," says love, "who is to blame."
Yes.
Because who bore the blame is a completely different thing.
That's right.
I suppose what it is it's like that thing, you're playing small doesn't serve the world.
Yeah.
So that if the all-encompassing, non-specific love, as this is, which covers all the loves, is saying, "Come, you're welcome," and I'm saying, no, I can't come in, I've got to go. Don't look at me. It seems ridiculous that somebody would say, "No, I can't come in to love," doesn't it? You think, what? Just go in. And he has to be persuaded.
I mean, for me, it's just a moment of going, that's taken care of.
Yeah.
Not dismissed. It's understood to be full of all that difficulty and pain, but it's taken care of.
Yeah.
Because if you fixate with that, then we're not going to sit here together.
Matter. Exactly.
So
let's
let's
sit
just
and eat. And it's not talk. It's not talk, is it? And people talk a lot. I love talking, but and it's again, in the theatre, the great actors are the ones who are able to listen, so that like you can have a line that means one thing on one particular night, and then on the next night can mean something else. If you're alive to the other person, if you're listening to the other person, and the idea
that's getting harder and harder to do.
It is, isn't it?
In the world, I think.
Well, yeah, the whole idea of a hashtag at the bottom of a screen now is to sort of type in what you think. So it's rather than it's not to sit and eat or sit and watch or sit and listen. It's to make your voice heard, even if you don't want to speak. And sometimes we should be allowed to reserve the right not to say anything.
I just want to ask, because you said a few times it's come to me, or it's recent. I just wonder how you first met it, or if you've known it for a long while and then you've just picked it back up.
No, somebody sent it to me. Somebody very close to me sent it to me.
Great.
It saying that I would love it, and I did. Yeah.
Soften the way.
I love when people send you things that are bits out of a book or a picture or something that you go, because it's quick-eyed, isn't it? You go, that person would, you go, I it's a lovely thing to be able to do.
Love. Love bade me welcome, yet my soul drew back, guilty of dust and sin. But quick-eyed love, observing me grow slack from my first entrance in, drew nearer to me, sweetly questioning if I lacked anything. A guest, I answered, worthy to be here. Love said, you shall be he. I, the unkind, ungrateful, oh, my dear, I cannot look on thee. Love took my hand, and smiling did reply, who made the eyes but I? Truth, Lord, but I have marred them. Let my shame go where it doth deserve. And know you not, says Love, who bore the blame? My dear, then I will serve. You must sit down, says Love, and taste my meat. So I did sit and eat.
That was Michael with the gift reading of Love by George Herbert. Oof, it's like a warm bath for my ears. Oh, that's a bit of a bad image, isn't it? Anyway, it's better than that. That's all I can say. A hot sauna. I don't know. It's fantastic. I mean, the voices in the conversation and your voice on the reading as well. It's just beautiful to hear that poem and that theme of love in all its forms, kindness to self, kindness to other, welcome, visit. All those things feel like good themes for this time of year to me.
Yeah, exactly. So our enormous thanks to Andrew for bringing that beautiful poem along with him and for sharing it with us and allowing us to share it with you. Now, Andrew Scott has recently been doing a one-man version of Uncle Vanya by Chekhov. His is just called Vanya. Simon Stevens has done the adaptation, and it had a frustratingly short run in London's glittering West End, and I managed to miss it, Fiona. However, I do know that you saw it.
Oh, I did indeed, Michael. I mean, definitely in that handful of theatre experiences all time will remember forever. He's such a fluid actor. Whatever he's playing, he can the way he can move through really quite dense, intense emotions, but with this kind of fluidity. It's extraordinary. So it makes sense in some way that he could then go, and I can sort of inhabit all these. And of course, that then throws up just the most beautiful and profound questions about who we all are to ourselves and to one another, because the characters are all kind of refracted through this one superb performance, which is beautiful. So I really recommend people catch that on the NT Live.
Yes, I was going to say the good news is for those of us that did manage to miss it, it's been filmed for NT Live. So it's going to be in cinemas from the 22nd of February, 2024. I can't wait to catch up with that. I'm really looking forward to it.
And I should just say that Andrew is one of the contributors to Poems as Friends, the Poetry Exchange Anthology. And I know we've mentioned about that the last couple of times we've been on, but just to say he's in there with that great poem along with some other great voices. So if you haven't yet checked out about that, do visit the anthology page on the website.
Now, Fee, have you brought along a bonus poem with you this month?
Yes, I have, Michael. I've chosen something from the phenomenal recent collection by the fabulous Sarah Solway, somebody else who contributes to the book, dear friend of the project. And it's, okay, the collection's got the most phenomenal title, which I have to say, because it's called Learning Springsteen on My Language app.
It's brilliant.
I mean, you just want to get that immediately. And that's published by Indigo Dreams. You know, again, thinking about the season and, you know, there's always that thing of should I be having New Year's resolutions? So this poem is called A Dictionary of How to Live Properly. It's always out on loan, but I know it must exist because I can spot everyone who's read it. And then the others, like me, who still hope to rise to the top of the waiting list. Sometimes, when I'm in the library, I'll pause by the gap in the shelf where it should be sitting. Once, I even licked the covers of the 2 books on either side. I ignore the tuts of the librarian, pretend not to see how she fusses over that plant on her desk. I hate that orchid. Its white roots, the legs of a hospital patient trying to escape. And the time she spends on it would be better used helping some of us find the one book we need. Orchids stand for death, I told her once. But she smiled, told me it had bloomed 3 times already. Just needs proper care, she says. The speckles round her mouth dance as she tells me the dictionary doesn't exist. And besides, she doesn't like the way I stand so close to her desk while the other readers bustle by, getting on, properly, with their lives.
Oh, I love that, Fee. Thank you. I love Sarah's voice. I think it's really just great. That's about all we've got time for this month. We'll be back with you next month. Until then, happy holidays and thank you for listening.